Hey y'all. Good morning. If you're just tuning in, how's everybody on this Tuesday, June 22nd, the first day of summer, but it feels like spring. It's all good. This is Rochester. You know we'll have summer by what, tomorrow or Thursday. It'll be back. This is life in the rock. So today in science, we're going to continue on because this is a high value skill on the task exam. So you have to have a little bit of broad knowledge in this area of life science. So we're beginning at the beginning with life science, right? Which is DNA, RNA. Just want to show you what an RNA molecule actually looks like. And notice here, unlike the DNA, the RNA has only one side to it. It still swirls around, as you can see here, but notice there are bases. There's our sugar phosphate, right? And our nucleotides. What's she saying? What is a nucleotide? Let's find out. Let's find out. So, gonna scoot on over to our lesson, and our lesson from CK12 is the following. You can read along. Did you ever see a spiral case like that? The steps connect the two sides of the staircase, which winds around a single axis. Well, that spiral staircase can be used as a model for a DNA molecule. DNA is a nucleic acid, right? DNA is such a well-known molecule that you probably know about it already. Question for you, what do you know about DNA and why is this molecule so famous? Let's think about some things that we know about DNA. It is the code for all living things, right? And it also encodes things such as your eye color, your height, your inheritance of cancer genes, right? Or predisposition for high blood pressure, um, how long a giraffe's neck is, how they came to be animals with long necks, all of those things, and also viruses. It's the information encoded in viruses to tell them how to behave. And it's generally orderly, but when random events occur to make changes, that causes problems too. And I'm going to bring it back around to our good old COVID-19. Its DNA is mutating, it's changing. So the virus is not the same virus it was the December when we first knew of it. We've had several strains since that time. We have one right now called the Delta variation that is troublesome. Okay, I'm going to go back to this. And as you know, DNA contains genes. It is so famous because it explains how we inherit traits from our parents and pass them on to our offspring. What are nucleic acids? Well, they are one of four classes of biochemical compounds. The others are carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids, which are also known as fats. Nucleic acids contain RNA, which is ribonucleic acid, as well as DNA, which is deoxyribonucleic acid. Both types of nucleic acids contain the elements carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus. So, which of the elements in DNA is not identified with any other class of biochemical compounds? All biochemical compounds contain carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and proteins as well as nucleic acids, which contain nitrogen. Phosphorus is the only element that is identified with nucleic acids. Nucleotides. What are nucleotides? They are chains of small molecules, and they're held together by covalent bonds. Oh, Lord, what is she talking about? The structure of a nucleotide is here. So if you remember our ladder, our double helix, which was on the outside, right, made of a phosphorus group, and a sugar. This is the outer layer of our RNA or DNA chain. And here is our base on the inside. Phosphorus group, which contains P, phosphorus, and O, oxygen. 4 oxygens, PO4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Then we have our sugar, which is deoxyribose and DNA and ribose and RNA. And this is a sugar whenever you have an oxygen combined with hydrogen and the CH2, this makes it a sugar. This carbon hydrogen chain, you know that you're looking at a sugar, right? So this is sugar. CH5, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait a minute. We're looking right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. C5. Where are my 5 C's? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. 2, 3, 4. CH2. It should be C5, H8, H8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's our 8. 4, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, 4. 1, 2, 3. H8, C5, H8. I'm counting our molecules, and there's our base. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the nitrogen base. C5H8O4. This is our sugar chain. I'm messing up the counting of the molecules here. I'll get that straight though. Trust me. And then our nitrogen bases here is not an acid and it's not neutral. So then they must be what? That's called a base. If it's not an acid and it's not neutral like water, then it's called a base. And these are adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine, right? Except when you have RNA, you don't have a base, you don't have thymine. You'll have uracil combined with the other 3 bases. Double helix, this is our shape. Remember, the RNA is not a double helix, it is just one chain. The DNA has 2 chains, and nitrogen bases on the 2 chains of DNA form together, right? This is a review, and they form hydrogen bonds, and the hydrogen bonds are weak, and they form a positively charged hydrogen atom in one molecule and a negatively charged atom in another molecule. So if one is positive and the other is negative, what happens? What would you think happens? Okay, so they don't have, they're not, oh my goodness, this is all review for me as well. As I said, I'm going to get back to you, trust me. So then hydrogen bonds form only one between adenine, which is yellow, and thymine, which is green, see? And between guanine, the purple, cytosine in the yellow. So you have 1 and 1, and then you have it reversed because we can do that. But remember, adenine's always with thymine, guanine's always with cytosine. always. Just remember, because they're going to ask you about that. And so the bonds hold the chains together and give the DNA its spiral or double helix shape, right? And if you were looking at a staircase, the stair steps represent what molecule? The steps. Those are our bases, right? So the molecule is our nitrogenous base. And then we have this, which shows the function of nucleic acids. So DNA stores genetic information in the cells of all living things. It contains the genetic code. This is the code that instructs cells how to make proteins. The instructions are encoded in the sequence of nitrogen bases and the nucleotide chains of DNA. RNA copies and interprets the genetic code in the DNA and also is involved in the making or the synthesis of the proteins based on the code. So look at this picture, which you have looks like a DNA, and then you have the RNA. But I really want you to watch this. The reason we're not watching it live is that you won't be able to hear it. But please watch this from RNA to protein synthesis. So here, listen to this. DNA is found only in the nucleus of cells, but proteins are made in the cytoplasms of the cells outside the nucleus. So how do you think the instructions encoded in the DNA reach the cytoplasm so they can make proteins? Oh, Lord Jesus. Phone. After RNA copies the instructions in the DNA, the RNA is called what? The messenger. So sometimes you'll see an M in front of RNA, mRNA. After it copies the DNA's instructions, it sends them from the nucleus to a site of protein synthesis where they make the proteins. Then that's when they'll start to make proteins. So inside a COVID shot, you have messenger RNA, no live virus, but you have messenger RNA, which tells your body to start fighting the disease. And I've stated before, messenger or mRNA is used in many treatments of different illnesses, such as cancer, heart disease. They think that they can cure some of these diseases using messenger RNA. So that's very important. So review. What are nucleic acids? What are the two types of nucleic acids? Describe the structure of a nucleotide. What holds nucleotides together? Okay. And what holds nucleotides together in a nucleic acid, which is a biochemical compound, either DNA or RNA. Remember, deoxyribonucleic acid or ribonucleic acid. And it contains oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus in addition to carbon and hydrogen. It consists of one or two long chains of smaller molecules called nucleotides, right? So within nucleic acid are the smaller molecules. And compare and contrast the structure and the functions of DNA and RNA. Those are your questions. It'd be lovely if you gave the answers, and I'm not giving the answers because the answers are in this reading passage. So that is what I'd like for you to do for review. Very important to watch this video. That's all we have for today. See you tomorrow for reading. Take care.